Breaking news, tensions are reaching a boiling point in the South China Sea, a region long known for its strategic importance and simmering disputes. In a dramatic escalation, United States and Chinese warships now find themselves face to face near the highly contested Scarborough Shoal, a flashpoint that has drawn the eyes of the world. At dawn on September 1, 2025, the tranquil waters of the South China Sea were shattered by the arrival of powerful naval forces. What began as a quiet morning quickly transformed into a stage for global tension as the world's two largest militaries maneuvered for advantage. Cutting through the waves, a U.S. Navy destroyer bristling with advanced weaponry made its presence unmistakably clear near Scarborough Shoal. This was no ordinary patrol, it was a calculated move, a deliberate signal from Washington to Beijing that the United States would not back down in the face of China's sweeping territorial claims. The destroyer's course was a direct challenge, slicing through waters claimed by China and sending a message that the international community would not accept unilateral control over these vital sea lanes. Inside the operations rooms, officers watched their screens with steely focus. The air was thick with unspoken threats, every radar blip and radio transmission loaded with meaning. Around the world, governments and analysts held their breath, aware that a single miscalculation could spark a wider conflict. Responding with speed and precision, Chinese Navy and Coast Guard ships surged into the area, forming a tightening, silent cordon around the American destroyer. The standoff was tense, the silence between the ships more ominous than words. No shots were fired, but the intent on both sides was unmistakable. This was the gray zone, a shadowy realm where peace and war blur, and where every maneuver is a test of resolve. Newsrooms across the globe buzzed with urgency as satellite images confirmed the standoff. Analysts pored over every detail, searching for clues about what might happen next. This was more than a simple naval encounter. It was a physical manifestation of the deepening rivalry between the United States and China, a contest not just for territory, but for influence, prestige, and the future of the international order. The actions of a single warship sent ripples across the globe. Allies and adversaries alike watched closely, calculating their next moves, as the world's most critical shipping lanes hung in the balance. Around a few uninhabited rocks, the quiet waters had become the epicenter of a potential international crisis. What seemed insignificant on a map now held the attention of the world's most powerful leaders. In homes, offices, and embassies, people gathered around screens, their faces etched with concern. The world's attention was fixed on this flashpoint, knowing that the decisions made here could shape the future of global power for years to come. The stakes had never been higher. Every moment was charged with uncertainty, every movement scrutinized by a watching world. The gray zone had ignited, and the world could only wait to see what would come next. Aboard the USS Halsey, the crew moved with calm precision, fully aware of the risks. Their mission? A freedom of navigation operation, challenging China's maritime claims. The destroyer's commander kept the ship steady, responding to Chinese maneuvers with unwavering professionalism. Every sailor understood the gravity of their task, upholding international law in the world's most contested waterway. Chinese vessels shadowed the Halsey, their movements increasingly assertive. The American crew held their course, prepared for any escalation. This was deterrence in action, a message to allies and adversaries alike. The line between provocation and principle was razor thin. In these waters, every decision could shape the fate of nations. The tension broke over the radio. Formal, chilling warnings echoed through the airwaves, a prelude to a confrontation that had been building for weeks. Chinese Coast Guard, U.S. Warship, you are entering Chinese territorial waters. Change course immediately. The message was clear, a line drawn in the sand. The American reply was calm and firm. We are conducting lawful operations in international waters. The words were measured yet resolute, a testament to their unwavering stance. The exchange escalated, each side repeating its position, neither willing to yield. It was a verbal chess match, each move calculated, each word a potential trigger. Chinese Coast Guard, you are violating China's sovereignty. Leave now or face consequences. The ultimatum was stark, the threat implicit. The word consequences hung in the air, a veiled threat that carried the weight of potential conflict. The USS Halsey pressed on, undeterred by the warnings. Its course was set, its mission clear. The radio fell silent, but the standoff continued, guns trained but silent. The quiet was deafening, a calm before a potential storm. This was great power competition in real time, a war of words that could become a war of steel. The world watched, holding its breath. The world listened, wondering if this was diplomacy or the drumbeat of conflict. The stakes were high, the outcome uncertain. Every transmission was a move in a high-stakes game, each decision a potential turning point in this unfolding drama. The risk of miscalculation was enormous, the consequences potentially catastrophic. The dialogue of steel had begun, a tense exchange that could shape the future of international relations. The South China Sea is a vital artery of global trade. One-third of all maritime commerce, worth trillions of dollars each year, passes through its narrow lanes. Every day, thousands of ships carry goods, raw materials, and energy supplies between continents, making this region one of the busiest and most important waterways on the planet. Beneath its surface, the seabed holds vast reserves of oil and natural gas, turning the South China Sea into a modern gold rush for energy-hungry nations. These resources are not just valuable, they are essential for fueling the economies of both regional and global powers, driving competition and sometimes confrontation over who gets to tap into them. For countries like Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan, the ability to move goods freely through these waters is a matter of survival. Their economies depend on uninterrupted access to shipping routes for importing energy and exporting products, making any threat to navigation a direct threat to their national security and prosperity. The sea's rich fishing grounds feed millions of people across Southeast Asia, providing jobs and protein for countless families. But overfishing, environmental damage, and rising tensions between neighboring countries threaten these vital resources and the livelihoods that depend on them. Control over the South China Sea means more than just territory. It means economic security, energy independence, and food on the table for entire populations. The stakes are deeply personal for millions, shaping daily life and future prospects. For China, the South China Sea is not only a gateway for trade but also a critical buffer for its defense. It serves as a base for its rapidly growing navy, allowing China to project power and protect its interests far from its shores. The United States, meanwhile, sees freedom of navigation here as a pillar of its global influence and a guarantee of regional stability. Regular patrols by U.S. naval forces signal a commitment to keeping these waters open for all. In recent years, artificial islands bristling with missiles and radar systems have transformed the area into a militarized chessboard, where every move is watched and every action carries risk. The stakes in the South China Sea are economic, strategic, and even existential. Decisions made here ripple out to global markets, military alliances, and the daily lives of millions. The South China Sea is where global power is tested every single day, a place where the future of international order, security, and prosperity hangs in the balance. Scarborough Shoal, known as Panatag Shoal to Filipinos and Huangyan Dao to China, is a triangle of reefs, not an island but a symbol of sovereignty. For centuries, Filipino fishermen worked these waters, until a 2012 standoff gave China de facto control. In 2016, an international tribunal rejected China's sweeping claims, affirming the shoal as a traditional fishing ground for all. China dismissed the ruling, insisting on its historical rights. The U.S. and its allies see upholding the ruling as vital for a rules-based order. China sees ignoring it as defending sovereignty. The dispute is a clash of worldviews, law versus power, treaties versus history. The USS Halsey's presence is a direct challenge to China's stance. Scarborough Shoal is now a global flashpoint, where law, power, and history collide. The U.S. Navy's strategy is presence and partnership, regular patrols to challenge China's claims and reassure allies. China counters with anti-access strategies, missiles, a massive navy, and artificial islands as unsinkable bases. Its Coast Guard and maritime militia harass rivals in the gray zone, avoiding outright war. The risk of miscalculation is ever present. A single mistake could spark crisis. Both navies are formidable. America's global reach versus China's home advantage. China's navy is now the world's largest by ship count, narrowing the gap. The U.S. can no longer assume supremacy in these waters. Every encounter is a test of strength and resolve. The balance of power is shifting. The South China Sea is a chessboard where giants play for the future. Beyond the headlines, the South China Sea conflict devastates ordinary lives. Filipino fishermen once thrived at Scarborough Shoal, now they're chased away by Chinese patrols. Many are forced into overfished waters, struggling to survive. Some risk dangerous journeys facing intimidation and fear. The loss is economic and deeply personal, a theft of heritage and dignity. Fishing is a way of life, now threatened by forces beyond their control. Their stories reveal the human cost of great power rivalry. For these families, the dispute is about empty nets and empty tables. The sea that once sustained them is now a source of anxiety. Their voices are often unheard, but they are the true victims of this conflict. The struggle for the South China Sea is written in lost livelihoods and shattered hopes. The battle in the South China Sea is also a war of narratives. The U.S. frames its actions as defending international law and a free and open Indo-Pacific. China counters with images of sovereignty, accusing America of meddling and militarizing the region. Both sides launch media blitzes, shaping global perception and rallying domestic support. China cites ancient maps. The U.S. points to the 2016 tribunal ruling. Each side claims the moral high ground, casting the other as the aggressor. The information war is about legitimacy. Who has the right to shape the future of the region? For the world, truth becomes another contested territory. Winning hearts and minds is as crucial as winning at sea. The world stands at a crossroads, the South China Sea's future uncertain. One path is a tense standoff, U.S. patrols, Chinese responses, and constant risk of escalation. Another is a shift in power. China's rise could push the U.S. and its allies out, making the sea a Chinese lake. Regional countries may have to adapt to new realities, with restricted access and diminished U.S. influence. Yet, hope remains for diplomacy, open channels, crisis management, and regional cooperation. A code of conduct could reduce risks, while renewed talks might build trust. The stakes are too high for brinkmanship. The global community must urge restraint and respect for international law. The future should be decided by peace and principle, not force. The standoff at Scarborough Shoal is a wake-up call. The time for diplomacy is now.